It's your boy, your friend BBJ on the track. But we got something different coming to you today from Victory Apostolic Church Women's Ministry. They finna cook it up. Cook it up. One, two,
beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes.
you name it.
Hello, welcome to the Women's Ministry 2021 edition of the She Shed. This year we're doing something special. We are going to be shaking and baking, y'all. So we hope that you have looked online and you've pulled up the ingredients for today's meal because we're having a good time. I wish you were here because it smells absolutely fabulous. At this time, I would like to introduce to you the chef for this episode, who is the Director of Life Enrichment, Sister Sandra Jenkins.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And I've actually been a member here for about 17 years. And so I am looking forward to doing one of my favorite things, which is cooking. And I have my daughter, who is my sous chef. And I'll just allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Maya. I'm a senior at Reese Township. About to graduate this year. I'm going to be attending Eastern Michigan University. And I'll be majoring in social work.
And I'm really proud of Maya, and I'm just really glad to be able to give her some of these tips. So as she grows up and moves away from home, she will kind of know what to do and how to navigate in the kitchen. So let's get cooking. All right, so I'm going to come over here. Now, while I am preparing our chicken, I'm actually going to fillet the chicken. And so while I'm doing that, and I kind of want to show you guys what you need to be doing, Maya is going to be making up our cream cheese mixture. So Maya, go ahead and mix that up. And so you guys should have had this sitting out at room temperature. I don't think mine has been sitting out long enough, but that's okay. Maya's going to go ahead and navigate through this. And so you guys make sure you do that. And she's going to put half of the basil, so we have fresh basil. If you want to use the dry basil, that's fine, but I love fresh ingredients. So she's gonna put some fresh basil and some Parmesan cheese to kind of make this mixture. So meanwhile, while she's working on that, we're gonna fillet our chicken. So this chicken breast is pretty thick, and so for me, sometimes I like to flatten it out this way because it's a little bit easier to cut. And just kind of cut it right down the middle. So this one is kind of skimpy, but we're gonna work with that. And we did actually wash this chicken off before we got started. So the chicken has been thoroughly washed, and now we're just filleting it so that when we fold our chicken, it'll fold for us pretty nicely. And so there's been a lot of debate about rinsing off meat and all of that. I kind of want your opinion on what your thought process is about rinsing off meat. Is that something that you do, that you don't do? I know I saw an article, and Sister Darice and I were talking about this actually, yes. About there are individuals who don't rinse off their meat. So kind of wanted to know, Sister Darice, what is your take on rinsing off meat?
I used to rinse off my meat every time. Chicken, beef, pork, whatever it was, I would rinse it off. But I saw a program on television where it said that rinsing off those raw meats actually puts germs and different type of antibodies into your sink. And so not only do you have to clean off the area where you were preparing, you have to sanitize your sink. So I kind of changed the way I approach raw meat when I cook. So I hope that doesn't mean you all won't eat any of my cooking, but I do not rinse off my meat because the program said that when you're cooking it, whatever happens to it, whatever was on it, it's going to be burnt off with the cooking. I don't know. We're so wonderful. We're wonderfully glad to have our First Lady here with us today. She's in our studio audience. Sister Brenda, what is your take on the meat issue?
Well, I used to rinse mine off every time also. And I did see a couple of programs where they talked about rinsing versus non-rinsing. And this last time I made some beef short ribs, I did not rinse. But sometimes if my recipe is calling for me to use the meat needs to be moist, and I have to put it in breadcrumbs or something, then I might rinse it.
Okay, good.
But then I make sure I sanitize my sink after I'm done.
Absolutely. I think that's the key to cooking, that we have to make sure we're keeping our environment clean. So Chef Cassandra?
All right. So thank you, ladies, for that dialogue. And hopefully you guys are kind of chiming in and letting us know what you think. And I've heard that same thing, but it's just kind of out of habit that I just got to rinse my meat. So, I've heard the same thing too, but I have been doing that for quite some time. So it's just hard for me to break that. So, I kind of still do it. And of course, also we don't rinse our ground beef and ground turkey, but but it's just still something that I like to do. So, all right. So we have our cream cheeses nice and mixed up for us. I'm going to have Maya, she hands me over the spinach as well as our mushrooms. So you guys can stuff this with whatever you like. So whatever vegetables you guys like, you can stuff. I happen to love spinach and mushroom, so that is what I'm using for my mixture. Now, sometimes I use a knife. It's actually a little bit easier using a knife, but you guys can go ahead and use the back of your spoon to get this nice and flowing. Maya, hand me a couple pieces of the spinach and go ahead and just hand it to me.
The cream cheese mixture looks delightful. And I wish all of you were here. This whole kitchen just smells fantastic.
Amazing.
Yes.
So now Maya actually hates mushrooms. So at home, so I got to make sure I make one without.
I love mushrooms.
I do too. So my daughter actually hates mushrooms. So I put a little bit at the top and at the bottom, and then I'm also going to put it at the top. It actually serves as a good paste for it. Plus, I love cream cheese. Everything with cream cheese just tastes better.
It does.
So Maya is just not a fan of mushrooms, but so we're gonna just do that, and so you guys will just kind of do this for all of your chicken. Just kind of make sure you put some on both sides. Now I have Maya handing me that because I don't want to contaminate because I have chicken on my hand. Don't want to contaminate that. So go ahead and hand me some of that.
Chef Sandra, I have a question. Do you just spread it on half the chicken and not the whole fillet?
You know what? It actually would probably make sense if I just spread it on the whole thing, right? So yes, it is on the whole. It is on the whole chicken. In the past, when I used to make this, I change every time I cook something. I do it a different way.
Absolutely.
So the first time that I used to make it, I only did one half, and then I found that it kind of sticks better when you put it on both. But again, my brain didn't allow me to spread it on the whole thing. And also, I always want to make sure I don't run out of my mixture. So sometimes I'll put it on half, so just in case I run out, so that I won't run out. But now I just kind of use 2 tubs of the cream cheese mixture because I know I love cream cheese. But thank you, Sister Darius, because I do need to put it on both halves. But I just kind of changed up the way I make this. And then again, like I said, whatever vegetables you want to use, even if you want to use a cheese, like a different cheese, like a feta cheese. One more.
What about a blue cheese?
Blue cheese would probably do well. So I practice with my family all the time. So before I take it out to the public. So this one is actually pretty thick.
That is a good one.
That's a good piece right
I
there.
have a question. So, do you have to use a specific cream cheese? Can it be a generic?
Absolutely.
Or do you prefer like a Philly brand?
No, absolutely. With any type of cream cheese you want to use, this is actually a Walmart brand. So yeah, no, any kind of cream cheese. And then of course, those that, you know, you need to use a low fat cream cheese. Like mine is like fat. So I don't, it's not low fat, it's fat.
Well, you know, sometimes the low fat kind of makes your recipe not turn out as well.
Right.
I found that one.
Makes it a little bland.
Well, and then sometimes just not as good.
Okay, I know.
Look, we're gonna eat fat. I mean,
We're gonna eat the fat anyway. We're gonna eat the fat.
Yeah, so no, any type of cream cheese, even with the cheese, I think I have a generic brand. There's some things that I'm okay with being generic because it's all made by the same company and they just stick a different label and charge you more. So, yeah, so we don't do that.
So this recipe makes about how many?
Well, it depends on how many chicken breasts you use. So I think in this package we may have, because we're filleting our chicken, because we're filleting it, of course, with one chicken breast you'll be able to get two meals out of it. So that is great because it actually helps you to stretch your meal. Okay. So yes, we do cut this in half, and I don't know what made me do this, but a lot of times when I go out to restaurants and I order certain things, I ask them to leave the menu because I'm like, oh, this was good. And then I look at their ingredients and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make this. So yeah, my kids, we make, what's the little Chipotle bowls that you eat, the burrito bowls? Yeah, we make those at home.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I was just about to ask you, was this a recipe you created or one you found?
You know what? I think it was something that I saw, and I'm like, oh, I can make that. And so yeah, I just kind of, because of course I get tired of the same thing that we eat all the time, and so just kind of looking for some creative ideas and something different to eat at home. And so the trick to a meal like this is getting my 9-year-old to eat it. And he loves it. So, but for him, I don't serve it fancy. I kind of do it like this and then I cut it for him. So it's all like cut up on the plate for him. So we're going to go ahead and start to saute these. So Sister Darice, can I have you turn the eye on for the orange skillet back there? Because what we're actually going to do with these is we're going to saute them on both sides so that it'll kind of cook for us, and so it won't take so long in the oven. I actually looked this recipe up and I saw it, and the person who was doing this recipe actually put the chicken in like this. And so I'm always afraid when you put the chicken in without sauteing it that it doesn't cook all the way through as well. So I like to saute mine before I put it in the oven. So we're going to actually saute our chicken, and then we'll be ready to put this in the oven. So hopefully you guys will join us for that. One of the things that really motivated me to want to cook, one, I gotta eat. That's the big thing. But you know, when I had children, for me it was important that they did not live off of McDonald's and things of that nature. So that was really important for me. But you know, I always wanted my kids to, you know, want to come home to something. So like when they go off to college, I wanted them to feel good about coming home and knowing that, you know, mom was going to be preparing something really good, you know, that they didn't have to rely on their grandparent to cook a meal. So that was really important for me. And so with Maya, who's going off to college, you know, what is one of the meals that you, when you leave and you know, go away and you come back, what's something that you'll be looking forward to having?
It'll probably have to be mac and cheese, fried chicken, and collard greens.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a little country girl right there. So yes, and so I know now when Maya comes home for Thanksgiving break, I better have some greens and some. So you like collard greens or turnip and mustards? Because I do the turnip and mustards as well. A few mushrooms. What's your favorite, collards or turnip and mustards?
I can't even tell the difference.
Oh, so she doesn't know the difference. So actually, when I'm picking greens, the collards are easier.
Yes, they are.
Because it's leafy. This one is not acting right, y'all.
So Maya, how did your mom get you to come in the kitchen and help her out? Because I have 2 girls, and I used to have to rope them into the kitchen to come. Well, not my oldest, Takara. She wanted to learn. But what made you come and help your mom?
Same. I kind of wanted to learn how to cook. So when she was cooking like Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving, I always come down to help.
Oh, well, that was good.
Yeah, so that's how I got her started. The same way my mom got me started. So Thanksgiving time, my mama had me come down, and I was gonna learn how to make some dressing and some potato salad and all that good stuff. And I was always, I felt very threatened by dressing. That was actually the very last thing that I learned how to cook. And so, yeah, I was threatened terribly. And the thing that really made me, the key to dressing is the cornbread. Once you get that cornbread right, you good. Everything else, you just mixing. So I was really threatened. And so hopefully one day we can have a little Thanksgiving podcast, because some of our young ladies need to learn how to make some cornbread. That's the key. I think once you get the cornbread down, you good to go. And so Maya, I would have her come downstairs, and I would start cooking, and then I would actually say, okay, Maya, come on.
What seasoning are you putting on there?
So so Sister Stephanie, I know you told us that you don't want us using salt for the wellness, but Mama had to get a little Lari. So, I love some seasoning salt. I'm gonna work on that no salt thing. But yeah, so I'm just using regular seasoning salt, and of course, whatever you guys like, some onion powder. And as you see, most of this is not fancy. It's not name brand other than the Lawry's, but
that's your onion powder?
I have onion powder.
Okay.
I have some garlic powder. And I also put some black pepper.
Okay, good. I was going to ask.
Yes, black pepper.
Now, Sister Cassandra, I agree with you. I believe that we have to preserve our legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we do that through cooking. We have to make sure we hand down those recipes, because when we're gone, when Big Mama's gone, when Auntie is gone, then no one knows how to make that recipe.
Right.
So we have to either share verbally, or you get in a position where you get your phone and you watch her make that. So you've got a record of this. We're in danger of losing a lot of our heritage because we're not asking to, how do I cook this? How do I make that dressing?
And you know what, Therese? One reason is because these young people love to go to the fast food restaurants. They don't want to get in the kitchen and make stuff from scratch.
Right.
And that's the key. That's the key. And another thing I want to add too, that Cassandra said, and you said as well, the key to that dressing is that cornbread. Also,
Not Jiffy Mix.
No, not Jiffy.
That is like the worst. The first time I made cornbread, I used Jiffy Mix. It was terrible.
I did that too.
You cannot have sweet dressing. That don't work.
A lady at work told me, yeah, use Jiffy. I said,
that was terrible.
No,
Terrible.
don't use Jiffy.
Terrible.
And also, I call it liquid gold chicken broth.
Mm-hmm.
Homemade chicken broth. I don't buy it from the homemade. I will boil some chicken, like some chicken thighs, with some onion, some garlic powder, to get that liquid gold. And that's what I use. After I use that, you almost don't need to season your dressing.
Mm-hmm.
It is delicious. And when you saute your vegetables, a lot of people boil their vegetables. I saute my onions, bell peppers, and celery.
Open
Okay,
this
I
up.
was going to ask if you're going to use any type of oil.
Yeah, so I'm going to put some oil. And I actually have canola oil. So that's another thing from the podcast, the wellness podcast that Sister Stephanie talked about, is using healthy oil. So I made sure I got some canola oil, and I also have some pure olive oil. So we'll use that a little bit later. But yeah, so I have canola oil, and I'm just going to use this just to sear.
Now, tell us about the process of searing.
How much are you using for?
Just enough to kind of cover the bottom.
Okay.
So we don't want it greasy. So
Okay.
just enough to kind of cover it. So searing is just the process of just cooking it just a little bit. So this is not going to cook your chicken. So like if you guys are searing, please don't sear and then serve, because that's
not done right.
that's not going to be a good thing.
Oh, you can hear this sizzle.
So now the thing with this is that this can get a little messy. So I try to put them in kind of close together, or even prop it up against the edge of the skillet so that it won't pop open. So
Okay. So you're gonna sear both sides?
yes. So I'm going to sear both sides, and then I have some tongs somewhere, and I have no idea where they are. So while this is searing, those of you who are cooking along with us, I have already peeled my potatoes, and so they're boiling. So you definitely want to, if you have a sous chef or someone assisting you in the kitchen, go ahead and kind of have them start peeling the potatoes. I get my entire family involved when I'm cooking, because I said I'm not the only one eating, so everybody needs to help. And so my husband is a very good sous chef. I actually call him my boo chef. So that's my, his name is O'Brien Jenkins. We call him OB. But yeah, he's my boo chef. So he is phenomenal in the kitchen. He's a great assistant. He makes sure that the kitchen is clean, because that's like a bad habit that I have, is like I had dishes all over the house. So he's excellent at that, little OCD. So he is going to make sure that the kitchen is clean. And so get you a sous chef or a boo chef to help you out, peel some potatoes, and go ahead and get that boiling. So
And that's so important to clean as you go.
yeah,
If not,
it is.
you'll have dishes stacked everywhere.
I'm working on it, but I'm
I am too.
very terrible.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
this is kind of,
So are you just getting this just a nice brown color?
yeah. This is actually a little bit more light skinned than I like it, but it's
Okay,
so
you
just
like it a little bit dark.
yeah, I like it a little bit darker than this.
Okay.
So this one is kind of,
Not cooperating.
It did its own thing. And that's gonna be the best one.
Yeah. So sometimes they don't cooperate, but that's okay. We kind of push it all back in when we get ready to let it bake in the oven. So we're going to let that do its thing for a minute. So you guys can go ahead and start searing your chicken. Like I said, some of it may come out a little messy, but try to keep it together as best you can, because this little fat one is really not acting right with me. But we're going to keep on going with this.
Ladies, how are you doing at home? How are you doing at home? Are you keeping up? Is your kitchen smelling amazing?
And so that is definitely the garlic powder. Garlic is really amazing. I used to didn't put garlic on my food because I didn't like the way it made your breath smell, but it is amazing.
Keep the mints handy.
So definitely keep the mints handy. So we're gonna go ahead and take this one out. I'm gonna leave this one up because it's a little messy. Take this one out.
Oh, wow.
This one here just tastes terrible.
Oh, look how beautiful
that's a nice
it is.
color.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Very
color.
nice
Yes.
color.
That is exactly what I was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys see how there's a little pink there. So of course, this is why we want to make sure we get it back in the oven so that it can cook all the way through. But it's going to help your food cook a lot quicker when you sear it. Again, I've seen other recipes where they actually put it in raw, and it takes too long to cook, and I'm always afraid that it doesn't cook all the way through. So
But the searing gives it that nice brown color.
yes,
Okay.
so we're going to just sear all of these.
And you know, Cassandra, I really liked when you said you involve your whole family
Oh
in
yeah.
your cooking. How does that? I can imagine just a good time that you all have while you're doing that.
Yeah, sometimes it is a good time. Other times it is irritating because my husband likes to say things like, "Oh, why you putting so much salt? Ooh, why you doing this?" I'm like, "Look, boo boo, this is what I do. So your job is to help me in this kitchen and to wash dishes." And so sometimes we have a little conflict because he just like to, be in control with how I use salt.
Should that be a podcast?
Yeah.
Kitchen conflict.
Yes, kitchen conflict. The next podcast. Yeah, I think we need to have that one. And he looking out for me because I do suffer from high blood pressure, so I do need to try to figure out my salt and all of that. And so he's concerned for that. But for me, like the flavor is really important for me in food. And so what I guess the happy medium that I have is that I just won't cook this as often. So that's kind of the medium because the food got to be right. Because it's like if that's that's the point. Because if it's not gonna be right, then let's just not eat it.
Ooh, I'm so jealous.
So when I would try to get Pastor to help me in the kitchen, he was always doing more sampling.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, you go wait, and then you can sample the whole thing.
Yes. So that can be a problem. Sampling is a problem.
But isn't sampling the fun of it though? The sampling is the fun part.
Yeah, but some things you can, like this, you cannot. You can't sample this.
But he would be eating like the spinach.
Right.
No, that's part of the preparation.
Yeah, and I'm real funny about people being in the kitchen when I'm cooking and when I'm serving, because presentation means a lot to me.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so, like when I have company over, and they like, ooh, this look good. Can I make a little plate? I'm like, no, I like it to have everything out and kind of have that presentation. So yeah, that's really important to me when I'm serving. I remember there was a holiday and I had all my little fancy dishes out. And my mother came over with this old Tupperware bowl. I'm like, we ain't putting that on the table. And she was looking at me like, why not? I said, Ma, like the for real Tupperware that they used to, when they sold Tupperware.
Back in the day.
Yeah. So my mama came with this old Tupperware thing and was gonna put her potatoes. I said, no, Mama, we ain't doing that. So let's find a nice glass bowl. And so when I'm serving, that is really important that we have some nice serving bowls.
Absolutely. I agree. I like to set a pretty table.
Mm-hmm.
To have the dishware, the glasses.
Yes.
I love doing that. The tablecloths and the crystal. I
Mhm.
love crystal.
Yes.
And so when we have a beautiful table, to me that just enhances the meal.
Yeah. So that's like one
Beautiful.
of the things that gets me giddy is going into the Bed Bath and Beyond. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
When I go into those stores, I lose it. I'm like, oh my God, look, they got
my
this.
heart's got-
They got this platter. They got this. My husband, like, seriously, yeah, for real. Like, I just love that kind of stuff.
I must have skipped that Jenny.
Did you get the drink? Oh,
I've had that Jenny.
Woo.
I love
I
it.
didn't get that.
I love it. And so what I'm learning about myself is that, like, I went into Hobby Lobby the other day because we're actually planning on Maya's prom.
Those are beautiful.
And went into Hobby Lobby and I had that same feeling. I'm like, ooh. So think that I want to get more into like creating. I'm not like super creative, but I did make some nice things for her prom send off. And that's kind of the next thing. So I want to kind of get into creating some things.
Absolutely.
Maybe one day get a Cricut machine.
What's a Cricut
That's a
machine?
Cricut machine.
So a Cricut machine is a machine that is used to make little cutouts. So have you ever gone to a send off and then people have like the potato chip bags that has the person's picture on it. So that's all done with a Cricut machine.
Oh.
So
I better ask Lena. She probably knows.
yes, so my good friend Amber Whitted, she probably knows what that is.
Yes, it
I
does.
think that she has a Cricut machine and we kind of talked about that.
That's the new thing. When I went to prom, we just went to prom.
Right.
We didn't have no send off, no nothing.
Yeah.
You just went.
We didn't have none of that, so
I do like learning Hobby Lobby. Korean introduced me.
yes.
Oh, God.
And you can go in there and just get lost, going up and down the aisle.
Yes.
So much stuff.
Yeah, it's
So
a
my place is Home Goods.
Yeah, home goods too.
Oh my gosh, I used to be in Home Goods so much I was embarrassed. They knew me by name.
all right. So we are done with searing our chicken.
Beautiful.
So we're gonna set that right there. And actually, it's ready to go into the oven. So
Okay.
we're gonna go ahead and put this in the oven.
Sister Cassandra, what your oven is this?
So this is at 375, which is okay temperature.
Covered or uncovered?
So typically it's covered.
Okay.
I didn't bring my covering, so
Okay.
we'll see how this cooks. I forget my aluminum foil,
Okay.
but that's okay.
So no liquid inside of the pan before you.
No, because what you'll notice, so it went in dry, it's gonna be super soupy. So I don't like to serve it in that dish because it looks kind of icky. So yes, it is going to get extremely soupy. So while that is cooking in the oven, we are actually going to start making our vegetables and our Alfredo sauce. Okay, so we are making a lemon garlic Alfredo sauce. Now, I do not like to buy my Alfredo sauce at all. All right, so we have put our chicken in the oven, and so that's cooking, and I'm gonna just make sure I wash my hands very good because we're dealing with chicken, and so it's really important, so that there's no cross contamination, that you rinse your hands off appropriately, wash your hands appropriately. So we have done that. Now, chicken is doing its thing. Now, people have asked me, okay, well, how long does you have to cook the chicken? So I'm one of those cooks that I kind of look like when it's pretty, that's when it's finished. So, because a lot depends on how thick the chicken is, how thin it is. And so you have to watch your food. So that is one thing that I am trying to teach my daughter, to watch her food, because Maya likes to turn on food and then go in her room and close the door and lock it. So when it's pretty is when it's finished. Okay, so we're gonna keeping an eye on that.
Question: do you ever use a meat thermometer?
Yes.
I do not. I don't. So my son Miles, who is this self-proclaimed chef, he does all the time. So I have not done that, but I have thermometers at the house, and so I
just know because you can cook.
I guess I just know. So, but that may be something that I'll introduce later. So thank you.
Would you share about your temperature here?
Yeah.
You're
so
cooking 375 here. Is
yes.
That...
So I normally cook at 350. I put it on 375 just so it'll cook a little bit faster. So I guess it depends on how fast you guys need to prepare your meal. So between 350 and 375 is appropriate. That's doing its thing. Now we are going to prepare our lemon garlic Alfredo sauce. Now, I do not buy Alfredo sauce out of the can. I used to, and it's terrible. So I don't anymore. And once I learned how easy it was to make Alfredo sauce, I'm like, yeah, we doing homemade. So Maya, now I love fresh ingredients. So we have a lemon, but for those of you who not trying to do all of that, there's lemon juice. So whatever you want to use, you can use 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, or you can have fresh lemon. So go ahead, Maya. Maya's gonna go ahead and take care of our lemons for us. So I buy little doodads all the time. So I saw that. I think I may have bought that at the dollar store once. And so so I use that.
The dollar store is a great place.
It is a wonderful place.
So is 1 lemon enough?
Yeah, I mean, unless you like it really lemony. So that's why I brought the lemon juice as well, so you can kind of add on to it. So I guess it depends on how lemony you like your food. I don't like a lot of lemon, and I actually just tried this recipe because I saw a guy. I normally just make plain Alfredo sauce, So you definitely can do that. So if you have allergies to lemons or anything like that, then feel free not to add the lemon. I just wanted kind of a little bit more something to my meal. So she's gonna go ahead and do that, and also make sure that she's taking out the seeds so that that's not in there. So make sure that you remove your seeds. So while Maya's doing that, I am making a zucchini squash little mix thing. Now, like I told you guys, when I go to restaurants, I always like look at the menu, and it's things that like I never eat zucchini. Like this is a new thing for me. Actually, when I started going to like the Hamadas of Japan and they was making that stuff all fancy, I'm like, oh, okay, it tastes good and it's easy to make. So I have incorporated that into my family meal, and they actually like it. So anytime you go to a restaurant and they're making things that, you know, it looks like something that's easy to make at home, that's kind of how I come up with recipes. I'm like, oh yeah, we could do this.
There was a commercial that said it tastes good.
Yeah.
It's good for you. I don't remember what it was about, but I just remember that.
So I did, you know, wash this off because, of course, we are using the skin. So we did all that beforehand, washing off our vegetables. And it's pretty. Again, I love pretty food. So I love lots of color. And so even when I'm, you know, making fruit salad, I always make sure I got all the essential colors. Because I don't buy fruit trays either, because I just think that's like highway robbery. And so, yeah, I love just pretty. And so, like I said, with your chicken, when it's pretty, that's when it's done. You know, take a look at it and make sure, you know, that it's cooked on the inside. But this is kind of what we're doing with our vegetables here. And of course, my favorite, mushrooms, we're going to add to it. So I know First Lady don't like mushrooms, but like I be telling my daughter, she gonna pick it off. So that's what we're.
I love mushrooms.
Yes, mushrooms are great.
Well, I guess I could pick around.
Yeah, so Maya, she always got her nose turned up when I put mushrooms in. She's like, "Why you gotta put mushrooms in it?" I'm like, "Girl,
I
cause
hear
you."
you, Maya.
Yeah, she does not like that at all. My father, he's the same way. But I made this for him and he tore it up. I was like, he don't even know. So, you know, it's not like he was allergic. No, because if I would have told him, he would have probably got sick sitting at the table. So I'm not going to even be bothered with my daddy, because everybody know my daddy, he will complain about some stuff. So I didn't tell him, and he ate it just the same. So, so let's go ahead and work on this Alfredo sauce.
Yes.
Ooh, everybody gonna be coming in here when we get ready to do this, because we're getting ready to put this garlic on. So Maya, I'm gonna have you turn that stove on.
It's right here.
And then we're gonna use a little bit of olive oil. So again, that's that healthy oil that they were talking about in the wellness podcast. So just put a little bit. So we wanna cook our garlic, because that, you know, we wanna make sure we cook that up a little bit. And see how that comes out. Now, I'm gonna need a few more mushrooms. Can you grab me some mushrooms, and we're gonna rinse those off. So we're not quite ready for our vegetable.
I'm always ready for more mushrooms.
Yes. So this, yeah, go ahead and rinse those
these
off. Yes. Okay, so now we are going to make our lemon Alfredo sauce. I'm telling you, with garlic lemon Alfredo sauce. Now, I'm telling you, when you guys see how easy it is to make Alfredo sauce, you're not gonna buy that nasty stuff in the can no more. So we're gonna put our garlic in. And I'm gonna save a little bit of this for our zucchini spirals. So we're gonna let this just smell up the whole facility. Yes.
I think there's people standing outside the studio.
So we're gonna let that cook. And then once this kind of cooks a little bit, then we're gonna go ahead and pour in our lemon juice. And Maya makes this all the time. Like when I don't cook what she likes, Maya gets her the ramen noodles, and then she'll make Alfredo sauce, and she just makes a fabulous meal. So this is the thing that she makes. So Maya, how do you make this? Tell them how to make this.
Well, you put the lemon juice, heavy whipping cream, Parmesan cheese, and the lemon juice in, and then add your seasonings.
And that's it. That's how you make Alfredo sauce. And you're going to stir it around. It's that easy. So
I'm thinking the same thing here. I've never made my own.
it is so good. And I also make my own pesto sauce. That is delicious. So there was this class that I took. Okay, go ahead and pour that in.
How much do you use, Chef Sam?
So again, just kind of depending on how much Alfredo sauce you like. So go ahead and we're gonna use all of that.
Okay, that's a quart. Oh, yeah. Will that thicken?
It will.
Okay.
And so the important part of making this, because right now it looks like milk. And so the important thing about when you make this is that you have to constantly stir this because it will scorch. So there's our lemon juice.
Okay.
And then Maya, we're going to turn this down. She's going to go ahead and put her Parmesan cheese in it and just kind of stir it. So Maya's going to be here stirring. And then we are going to make our vegetables.
Now, do you, before you transition, do you have to constantly stir it, or every few minutes you stir it?
I would say every few minutes. So you want
Okay.
to keep it low and then every few minutes. So when I start making the vegetables, Maya can actually, she'll be able to bag up a little bit. But still, she's going to make sure that she's constantly stirring this.
Oh, I can see it thickening.
You see how it's thickening? Oh, it is
Yes.
so beautiful.
Oh, it is.
It is very beautiful.
And by the way, this chicken has started to.
Yes, it's all getting ready to pop.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Okay, so I'm getting ready to make these vegetables. And so you guys saw me cut up both of the yellow zucchini, the green zucchini. We put in our mushrooms and then our onions. So we're going to put that in there just like they do at Hamadas.
Yeah.
So you got Hamadas right at the house or Woo's house, wherever you guys go get your Japanese cuisine. So we are doing it right here at the She Shed. You get your little vegetables. And so, don't be afraid of the steps. I know a lot of people, they don't do things like this because they say, oh, this is too much. It really is not that bad. And then, if you feel like it's a lot, then you can always kind of prep the night before by splitting the chicken before, getting your zucchini mixed together the day before. So there are some things that you can do that can make this process a lot faster. So definitely don't be intimidated by it. Make a great meal.
It's worth it.
It is definitely worth it.
It's worth it.
Because when I make this, everybody, they feel fancy when we're at the house. They're like, ooh, mama. Like, that's right. That's what mama do. So
that's right.
That's what mama do. So yes, go ahead and just don't be afraid of the steps. So we're getting ready to cook this. So we're going to come on over and bring our vegetables. Got to get this on. So this is one of my little favorite things here. This is my cast iron wok. Yes, I bought this thing from Amazon.
Oh,
and it's beautiful. So this is my little wok because I make stir fry all the time. And I'm going to run in here real fast and just get a little butter. And then we're going to get this vegetable started. This vegetable really takes about probably 5 minutes to make. But yeah, you can use a standard skillet. Because when I make my stir fry, this whole thing is just filled up with vegetables. So it depends on how much you cook. And again, I like the flexibility of being able to kind of flip my vegetables around. Then some other things that I have, because we're gonna be making some mashed potatoes. So I got my potato smasher and I got my whisk, because I kind of like to, do that with my potatoes. So those are some of the things that I have and that I recommend. So we're gonna put some garlic also.
And also, I still find myself buying different gadgets.
Yeah.
to use. Yeah, I know my family calls me gadget queen because I'm always
keep
buying
going.
stuff. Chef Sam, don't
Yes.
forget to mention about the incentive that you want our chefs to
Yes.
do.
So a couple things. So you guys see, we are really fancy with our shaking and baking in the she shed. So we are making this available for you guys to purchase for $20. And it's going to kind of a fundraiser, so it'll help the women's ministry. And so when you guys are cooking along with us, you can put your she shed and you're right here in the kitchen with us. So we definitely want you to do that. Also, we want you to take a selfie of yourself preparing a meal. And I want you to send it to the Women's of Victory Empowerment Network, to our Facebook account. We're going to upload that, and you will be able to be entered in for a drawing. We're going to give out a couple of gift cards so that you guys can buy some of the kitchen staples that you need. So definitely do that. Definitely purchase one of these aprons. So it would be fun. And then you guys can kind of join us in the kitchen. So we are making this here. Maya is still stirring. Look how pretty this looks.
Beautiful. Now, Chef Sam, is there a reason why you use butter instead of one of your oils?
I just like the flavor of butter.
Okay.
A lot better. I don't want this to be greasy, so I wanted to make sure that I use butter. And then I think at Hamada's they use a butter when I see them making it. So we're gonna put some seasoning salt on this bad boy.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put a little garlic powder. You guys see I'm using a lot of garlic today.
What you say, a lot of garlic?
Yes, a lot today.
Oh, that smells fantastic.
So Maya, hand me some more of that butter. And so I'm gonna cook this, and it depends on how much you want to. Hand me one.
Okay.
So this also is gonna depend on. I actually like my vegetables to be a little crunchy.
Yeah.
So
like a crisp.
yeah, I like it kind of crisp. I think it's healthier to eat it that way. Some people don't like it that way, so you're going to adjust your cooking time based on how you like your vegetables. So that's kind of how we're doing that.
Now, I noticed you're using is that a plant-based butter? I can't believe it's not butter. Is that a plant-based butter?
I don't know if it's a plant-based butter. I don't think it is.
Okay.
It's a butter that my mom used all the time because she had high cholesterol. And so that's just one of those things that, my mama did it and I do it
too.
So yeah, so I'm not really sure, but whatever you guys use, if it's a plant-based butter, you can go ahead and incorporate that as well. So,
Oh, it smells delicious.
so this is, so it is very,
It's pretty.
very pretty. It is delicious and it is pretty. So I love my food to look pretty. Like I said, I'm gonna cook it a little bit longer because of the mushrooms.
Okay.
Okay, so I just tasted that and it was really good. And now that we've done that, somebody go get Pastor, because I heard he liked to taste Steph's food. So see what he think about this. So yeah, so our vegetables are done. I mean, like I said, it's crispy like I like it.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put the top on it, which once we put the top on it, it's actually gonna make it soften up.
So it's not the goal to let them brown.
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. So this,
But they're that crisp, tender.
yeah, it's a crisp tender.
So does that steam them a little bit? Or?
Yeah, that's gonna steam it a little bit, so it'll make it actually a little bit softer. And I'm gonna turn it off in a second.
Okay.
Did you put any seasoning in here?
No, not yet.
Okay, so Maya did not put any seasoning in our Alfredo sauce, so we will do that. And again with the garlic.
Is that salt or powder?
This is garlic powder.
Powder.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
I use powder for everything else. So like the onion is onion powder, and garlic powder, because of course we don't want this too salty. So we've done that. Now I brought some cayenne pepper.
Ooh.
I'm not gonna put that in here because everybody doesn't like spice, but I do. So I'm gonna put it on afterwards.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you like a little spice, then you go ahead and put a little cayenne pepper in it. So it's thickening up, still not to my liking. We're gonna keep that on low. We're gonna keep stirring this. And we are going to now mash our mashed potatoes because we almost ready to eat, y'all.
How's that chicken doing?
Chicken is great. I looked at it and chicken looks great. So that big one, it still needs to be in there, but that's okay because it's enough that's ready. So we'll go ahead and kind of let this simmer. And we're going to take our mashed potatoes off, and then we're going to go ahead and transition over to this space over here so we can mash our potatoes. Okay, so we're boiling our potatoes all through the show. And, you know, those of you that use instant potatoes, you know, that's fine. But we did peel our potatoes, and we're going to make mashed potatoes, which is very simple. Now, I like to use heavy whipping cream. Oh my God, this is so fattening. Can you hand me another heavy whipping cream? I think it's another one in there, and some milk. So heavy whipping cream, to me, it makes your mashed potatoes super duper creamy. So yes, we use heavy whipping cream. We're gonna use some butter. I'm gonna put some seasoning in it.
I can't wait.
And see, Maya know what to do. And we actually making like garlic mashed potatoes, so I got garlic powder. Oh my goodness, all this garlic, yes.
I have to try this with my granddaughter. She does not like mashed potatoes out of the box.
Yeah.
If it's not boiling them, she's not eating them.
So we have our potato smasher. Just something that I have in my house. It makes it so much easier for me to mash these potatoes.
And I noticed Chef saying that you left some of the skin on the potatoes.
I did. I like it when I go to the fancy restaurants and they have skin on potatoes. So I did that. Sometimes at home I don't do it because I have a 9-year-old, and so he'll be like, ugh. He can't appreciate the skin right now. So
So what brand of type of potatoes, I should say? Yellow, rusted, does it matter?
So this one is a red potato.
A red potato.
Because it's my understanding that red potatoes smash a little bit easier. But I do use, whatever potato I have in the house, is a potato that I would use. But today I used red potatoes. So I'm going to just add a little milk.
Okay.
But that heavy whipping cream will do the trick.
Like one of my recipes calls for yellow baby potatoes.
Okay.
So,
Those are good.
I don't know what the difference
Maya,
is.
can you
but
start
that's- I'll buy them.
So the sauce.
Yeah.
There's definitely a different taste.
So we're done with the mashed potatoes. That's it, that's all. But that's a quick thing to make. I mean, of course, the pain in the mashed potatoes is peeling it, but that's
Can I
what,
see your consistency?
Yes.
yeah. So now, of course, if you want it creamier, add more milk. So I don't really like to peel potatoes, but that's what my boo chef is for. So he will peel my potatoes. Like I said, sometimes I'll make them creamier. And then let's just say you put too much milk in it, then I put it back on the stove and kind of let it absorb, and then it'll kind of thicken back up. So that's just the pain, is peeling the potatoes. And again, if you're trying to find time, then what you want to do is peel them the night before, put them in some water, and then the next day they'll be ready for you to boil. So we're done with that. For those of you who are eating clean, which means like no starches and things like that, because we do have mashed potatoes, but I decided I wanted to try this organic zucchini spirals. So it takes about 5 minutes to cook, and this is kind of what it looks like. This is the packaging. So we're going to try this just to kind of see. So this is something new, so you guys are getting this firsthand. So we have a little bit of olive oil and garlic. We're going to just kind of put that in there. We're going to throw, yes, so we're going to put our zucchini spirals in here. And, we don't want to cook that.
Yeah, we're not going to cook up the fish.
Maya, hand me a little seasoning salt. So we're going to try a little seasoning salt. And we're making it just like noodles. Again, about 5 minutes to cook. A little garlic powder.
The garlic smells fantastic.
So here we go. It smells good.
It smells delicious.
I may end up it's like giving up noodles.
Uh-oh.
So that's my weakness. So we're gonna see how this works. So it is done. It doesn't take long. And we have our Alfredo sauce. So that's pretty much done. So we're gonna turn this off. We're gonna add a little bit of our Alfredo sauce to this. And so something you guys didn't see, I did add a little basil to this Alfredo sauce. So you can always add whatever seasoning. So if you use parsley or whatever. And then I think we got a little Parmesan cheese left.
Ooh.
Maya, we gonna
And
really.
you can find that in the produce section.
Yes, so you will be able to find this in the produce section. And of course, add whatever you like. Mushrooms. So I had extra mushrooms, but I am not going to. First Lady and I already told us. So I'm not even going to put mushrooms in here. So
Have you ever tried using mashed cauliflower versus
I
mashed potatoes?
have not, but that is actually the new thing that I'm going to try.
I haven't either. But
Yeah, so I'm going to try that. So that's a new thing. Now, Maya, hand me my plate. Rinse that off. So we are getting ready to plate our food, and so in a minute you guys will see hopefully the fabulousness that has happened today. Yes, and we're ready to eat, and so we'll let you guys know how it turned out. Okay, so okay guys, we are back, and this is what our finished product looks like. So we're letting our Alfredo sauce kind of thicken up a little bit because it's a little bit milkier than I wanted, but this is our finished product. This is something that you guys can make at home. I did put a little cayenne pepper on top of my food, and so again, that's optional. And also we sprinkled it with a little bit of green onion. So if that's something that you like as your garnishment, your garnish, you can go ahead and put that on there, or parsley, or whatever it is you prefer. But I thank you so much for joining me today with Shaking and Baking in the She Shed, and hopefully you guys enjoy this meal. Always put your own flair to it, because whatever it is you like, if it's asparagus, anything, you guys can add your flair to it. So thank you so much. I'm so glad. I want to thank my daughter Maya, our sous chef, for joining us today. So I think she is going to be ready to go off to college. So thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thank you so much, Chef Cassandra and sous chef Maya. When you cook this in the dorm, you are going to be the most popular girl on campus. I guarantee you. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, take that selfie of your cooking this meal. Don't make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and send it to us. Take a picture of yourself cooking this meal and put it on our Facebook page. That's Women of Victory Empowerment Network. We want to see you cooking along with us. We've had a blast here today. So now we're getting ready to get off campus.
Oh, and one more thing.
Oh, yes.
Don't forget to get your Shaking and Baking in the She Shed apron. Don't we look fabulous? So please make sure you get it. You can send me a private message in Messenger.
Yes.
Let me know, and I will give you information on how you can get that payment of $20 to me, so you can shake and bake in the She Shed.
God bless you all. Have a good time. Enjoy your food, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
all right, let's eat.
That's it.
They finna cook it up. Cook it up. 1, 2, 3.
Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes. You name it. Potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Looks so good to me. You name it. Tomatoes, potatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. You name it. Potatoes, tomatoes. Beans,